Invincible Season 3 ended recently. And once again, we have to go over the whole concept of this season and what happened. But there were some parts I will say were good, but I think the ball was dropped in certain areas, and that's something that needs to be dealt with. So without further ado, let's dive into my top 10 takeaways from season 3 of Invincible. Start off with number one, the animation quality. The animation quality still looks good. I will give them that. Still looks good. You still see the everything that needs to be seen there is good. The blood, the gore, the movements. It looks really good. The animation quality is solid. No problem in regards to that. There are some things I would say they could tweak here and there a little bit in regards to it. Certain things need to be tweaked here and there. But overall, considering what it is, it was actually done really good. I don't have a problem with that at all. So yeah, I would say the animation quality overall looks good. So number two, Mark and Eve. Okay, this is gonna sound kind of weird, but honestly, I think Mark and Amber's relationship from season 2 was better than Mark and Eve. And I'm referring specifically to Mark and Amber from season 2 because, let's be honest, Amber in season 1 was a total bitch. But I'm just saying season 2, well, because Mark and Eve's relationship comes off as really boring and rushed. Honestly, really boring and rushed. I mean, okay, they're together, we get it, right? They hop into bed with each other, all right, and then they started here talk about them moving in together and how they want to start a business and it's just ongoing. Like, I mean, if it had some nuance to the relationship, that would have worked. Baby steps as you go along. But no, I mean, suddenly they get together, they go out on one date plan, and then suddenly it's I love you and this and that and the other. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong. I understand that they've had feelings to each other for a while now and all of this. Yeah, there's that, but they try to play off this thing with how, Mark tells Eve about how he met her future self and think, and she get upset about that. And then the next episode, they're back together again and all of that. And it just kind of goes along. That's it. There is no nuance to this relationship other than, okay, Mark and Eve are finally together. Let's just do that and thing. Now, I used to read the Invincible comics. I kind of stopped after a while because back then they weren't using the word yet. At least I didn't know it. We'll see what I try, but it started to get a little woke in my opinion, and that's why I kind of left. Because even the comics did develop a kind of hoity-toity attitude, and she done with him and all kind of thing. So that was the but there was some pacing to their relationship in the comics. And I'm not saying I do understand that the animations will be shorter because the comics is issue by issue and that okay, but you could still do it. I mean, look at what happened with Mark and Amber in season 2. Okay, in season 1, yes, he kind of moved along, and I would say Mark was trying his best in season 1 with her, right? And we all know how much of a hoity-toity bitch she turned out to be. But season 2 was better. They were actually connecting and moving and trying something. She was understanding as a girlfriend. I'm not saying that Eve isn't understanding because she knows what Mark has to go through. But the relationship doesn't have any kind of nuance. It doesn't move any. It's just really boring and rushed. That's it. It's just for me. I'm just saying. I'm not saying to say that I don't like it when them together. I'm just saying comes off as boring and rushed in my opinion. Number three, Cecil Stedman. Cecil has to be the biggest idiot to ever exist in this entire Invincible thing. I'm not even going to sugarcoat this. The man is a complete and utter dumbass. That's the only way to put it. It's one thing to develop contingencies to go against threats that are coming and to possibly have something in reserve in case somebody that you work with might turn on you. Understandable. But Cecil goes out of his way, literally out of his way, to piss off everybody who he works with to get to the world. The man literally does not trust any of these so-called superheroes that he employs for anything and everything. The guardians of the globe are just to be used for whatever he wants them to be used for. Understand me? And then look at what happened with Invincible. Okay, the Viltrumites are a threat. What happened with Omni-Man was terrible. You're going to have to take some precaution against Mark. Okay, no problem in regards to that. You take something in regards to that and you keep it there. But Mark is trying his best to do what he can. Rather than you help him and a little bit of guidance, no, what do? When you find out that, a certain song wave disrupts Viltrumites, when Mark is badly injured, you have something implanted in his head so you can turn it on and kill him whenever you want. You go on to go to this guy, Sinclair, who made those reanimen. Understand me? The guy was kidnapping people off the street, right? And literally killing them, turning them into these freaks of nature. Understand me? He did it to this guy, I think it's Rick, right? William's boyfriend Rick. He did that to him. You understand me? This is and Cecil's whole thing is that you don't lock people like that up. You rehabilitate them. The guy's a freaking lunatic. That's what it is. And you actually try to tell me that you want to use what he does. You try to tell me all the information you have access to. You can't find somebody who's willing to create something that can help. That is what you're gonna do. Of course, it's gonna piss off Mark, the guy was, and then your whole thing is you build the White Room and everything to attack Mark. And while you have your reanimate trying to kill him, and you're still trying to take some moral high ground that you are doing this for the betterment of thing, and oh, you have to save the world, so you gotta do what you gotta do. The guy is an idiot. Even when Conquest shows up and Mark has that fight against him, and Mark thinks that he kills him, he asks Cecil to show him his body, and he shows him it. It's a fake because why? What did Cecil do? Take the real Conquest and lock him away on that ground so that when he wakes up, he could question him about everything that he knows in regards to the Viltrumites. And spoilers for anybody who don't know, what eventually is happening? Conquest wakes up, easily breaks out and leaves. Leading to a confrontation later on with Mark and Conquest. Like, he finally does kill him, but Mark gets badly injured and was in a coma for like months. This is what Cecil does. The guy's a complete idiot. He becomes his own worst enemy and just doesn't know how to stop. Everything. Every time you look at anything that Cecil does, there is always a big problem in regards to it. He will spy on Mark and his family without any regards. He wanted to get his hands on Oliver so he could turn him into some god and then literally sit there and plot to kill him when that didn't wake up. This is what he wants to do. You really think he was not going to find a way to implant some kind of thing in that child's head even with a baby? He would do that. Cecil is his own worst enemy. I'm not going to spoil how he eventually meets his end down the road, but I'm just saying the guy is his own worst enemy. He literally creates his own problems and then acts like everybody else needs to come and fix it in order for him to do to somehow find something in regards to it. Number 4, Powerplex. You remember that line from Captain America Civil War where Black Panther said, vengeance has consumed you?
Vengeance has consumed you.
That's Powerplex. Vengeance has consumed this man to the point where he has become literally insane. When Omni-Man was fighting Invincible, right? And what happened in Chicago? Powerplex, actually, well, his name is Scott Duvall. He witnessed his sister and niece getting killed, right? Even though the building that Omni-Man punched him into, Invincible was trying to hold it up but didn't have the strength, and that's what caused it. He witnessed that. And he became obsessed with literally blaming Invincible for it. First, he went to with all kind of petitions to try and this one that didn't work out. He works at the GDA and literally stole some discs that have that converts kinetic energy into electrical power. And he wants to go after Invincible. Tries it the first time, all of that, gets stopped by the Guardians of the Globe. Tries it a second time, gets stopped. Well, actually, not Guardians of the Globe, he gets stopped by Shapesmith. Second time, he gets stopped by Atom Eve. But he won't leave it alone. So what does he do? His wife, who I don't know where he picked up this woman from, but she had to be the most encouraging lunatic I have seen in a long time. She's literally encouraging him to do this. The man is a danger to himself and others. He needs help. He doesn't need to be encouraged. He needs help. And she's encouraging him to continue this craziness. So what does he do? Fake kidnapping his wife and son to lure Invincible out. When Invincible does come, he attacks him and he literally uses as much electrical energy as he could to try and fry Invincible, but ends up killing his wife and child. And then after that, no, he still blames Invincible for it. He literally still blames Invincible for it. You did this to yourself. What happened the first time with Omni-Man and Invincible? Invincible was trying his best to save as many people as possible, even though his father was evil. You want to blame Omni-Man, fine. But no, you can't get to Omni-Man, so you fixate on Invincible and drive yourself to the drain. You literally threw everything away, became a criminal, killed your wife and child with your own insane obsession, and you still wouldn't take accountability. You're still blaming. I'm telling you, he's the definition of vengeance has consumed you. He destroyed everything that could have been anything to him that he was fighting for, and he still won't stop. He still won't stop. Even after the whole Invincible War and thing, he still tries. Well, he still tries to attack Invincible again, blaming him for it. The man won't stop. He's consumed by it and has driven him off the deep end. Number 5, Atom Eve. This one is a little bit biased, but she could have done that. Been a little more creative. When she was fighting Conquest, she tried a little bit of creativity there. But because she's not used to doing it as creatively as possible, it didn't amount to what you could, but she could have done some more. I'm just saying she could have done some more to actually end up doing some damage there. She could have done that. But like I said, I'm just a little bit of my own thing there, but I'm just saying I was kind of expecting more after the whole Atom Eve special, which was really nicely done. That could have been some more there. Number 6, Rexplode. And this one hurts because in season 3, Rexplode had one of the biggest character developments ever. But and I'm gonna get to more what happens in regards to it, but Rex ends up dying during the Invincible War, right? He sacrifices himself by literally charging his skeleton to blow himself and a variant of Mark up. But there is so little emphasis to it that nothing happens because you never get to really explore the whole thing. And I'll explain more as to why I think something should have been done a little different in a little while. But I'm just saying, when it comes to Rex, we could have seen a backstory with him. Because, believe it or not, Rex actually has a very interesting backstory. We're going to give you a short something of it here. He and his family were poor, really, really poor. And then his parents literally sold him to Cecil's predecessor, who literally experimented on him and gave him those abilities and then had him do literal wet work for him for years. That's what Rex was doing. And then it was Atom Eve who kind of saved him, and he lived in her room for a little while. Then he eventually went back to his parents, I think, because he was angry and wanted to kill them because of what they did to him. With the family, they were actually living a good life now, and he decided not to do it. But it is an interesting story, and you could have explored more about Rexplode, like The reasons why he cheated on Adam Eve could have been something like, he never felt like he really deserved her because of the things that he had to do, because of his, because of the fact he always felt like, he wasn't good enough with the dark things that he had to do. So he set out early on to literally do things that would actually, push her away from him because he never felt like he was good enough for her. Things like that you could have explored or explored a bit more. So when the time came that he actually died, it would have had more of an impact. That it would have really hit home more. It would have been like, oh God, boy, a Rex, but it's really thing. But they just do it so quickly and they don't even bother. They have a funeral at the end and it's like ding, 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 ding. They kind of talk about it, and then Mark and Eve immediately go back home to have sex right after the funeral. Come on now, man. Give a little bit of something so people actually get in. Rex was actually growing as a really good character. He was interested. You could have done more with that. No, come on, man. Because when it was Mark was getting attacked by Cecil or anything, he stood up and he spoke out and said, this whole thing that Cecil was doing was crap. And it shouldn't have been done at all at all. Give it some more now. That was really a letdown. Number 7, Oliver and Angstrom Levy. Okay, so here's the thing about Oliver. Oliver is growing as a character, but he has this thing in him that, he looks at the bottom line of things and not at the overall makeup of it. He's a good kid, but you could see that the reason he's going to do certain stupid things down the road are already there. Right? He doesn't seem to mind killing. He thinks that, you should put down a bad guy because. And yes, Invincible kind of goes to that mindset at the end of it. And like I say, the blue suit is kind of a curse because he did go down that all kill route a while back. He did do that. So thing, but Oliver is more inclined to that, and like he doesn't seem to realize that these things are problematic. He looks at it like, listen, if we're gonna do something, we're gonna do something. We have to get this done. Let's just do it. Kill this person, and that's so they don't come back as a day. And yes, sometimes heroes have to make that decision, but that should never be something that you should always aim to do. It should always be a last resort. You should not ever feel that way. And Mark is trying to teach him that, but you see, it doesn't really work because Mark himself is conflicted by it. And that kind of becomes a problem. So yeah, like I say, Oliver Downer will make some rather ridiculous choices and stuff like that. He will make some stupid choices, but you kind of see where it's going. As for Angstrom Levy, he has to be the second biggest idiot after Cecil. This man is determined to destroy Invincible's life because Invincible is the only good version of himself. He hates all these other Invincibles because he got all their memories, all that stuff together in him. Last season what happened with him, and the fact that all these other Invincibles did terrible things. But he so badly wants to drive this Invincible, the good Invincible, to become evil. He doesn't seem to realize how stupid what he's doing is. The man is going after him, doing all this complicated, crazy shit, causing all this death and destruction because he's sick in the mind. And spoiler for what eventually happens to Angstrom Levy, all it really takes down the road is that, Adam Eve just basically explains that, what? You have nothing better to do. You're a pathetic loser. That's why you're doing that. He's just like, what? You're right, and gives up. That's pretty much what happens to Angstrom Levy in the end. The guy did all of this just because he's a moron. I mean, and he will do more. He will do more horrible things down the road. And all of it is because of that. And then eventually he just gives up because he realizes that, his entire thing that he's doing is just really, really, really stupid. That's it. It's really stupid. Number 8. And this one is the there. How the hell can you make the Invincible War only one episode? Seriously. Now, don't get me wrong. I do understand that in the comics, the Invincible War was only one issue. But you couldn't do that here. I mean, One of my subscribers always says that, the problem with when they have with animation now is that they keep making the episodes too short. And he's right. They keep making episodes too short, and they keep complaining that it's too expensive. But yet you're spending crap loads of money on shit like this and this and this. But you won't spend any of that money on animation. Invincible season 3 needed to be at least 13 episodes though. At least 13 episodes, maybe 12. And as for the Invincible War, that needed to be at a minimum, maybe about 3 to 4 episodes. 3 to 4 episodes. I was going to say 5, but but if it could have been at least 4 episodes, that would have been good. Because you really needed to sink home how dangerous this thing was. The evil marks that show up started to do rampage. The first episode should have been what they were doing, the destruction that they were causing, the death of all. I think that should have been it. That should have been day one what was going on. The second episode was when you should have started to actually add some nuance with, like I mentioned, with Rexplode. You could have taken that episode and done a whole flashback thing showing what happened to Rex. While he was fighting in the Invincible War, you could have shown what was happening to him, so you add more layers to the character. So when he does sacrifice himself, it has more of an impact. That's what you should have done with the second episode. By the third episode now, you should have started introducing some of the other heroes and stuff that was going on, because they actually showed Tech Jacket and didn't follow up on them. For anybody who doesn't know, Tech Jacket is actually a really interesting character. He's basically like the, if you could kind of say, like the Blue Beetle of the whole Invincible Image universe. But it does have an actual more good impact with his story and all that. You could have done something that could have explored him more, and then eventually have done a Tech Jacket special like you did with Atom Eve when you did her special. You could have done that. You could have done it. It had that kind of material to work with when it came to Tech Jacket. I mean, yes, the actual Invincible War in the comics did have Spawn and which we're not gonna, so we know that we weren't going to get that, but you could have explored more of some of these other heroes and they can show how desperately they were fighting against these other evil marks. And let's be honest, some of the evil mark kind of died stupid because they were just evil and didn't have any kind of common sense or power to really deal with. But it does kind of, so you could have made the Invincible War at least about 4 episodes. That's what you should have done. That's what you should have done. That should have been what really sticking out. So by the time the Invincible War comes to an end, you're sitting there going, holy shit, that was brutal, boy. Way! Nah, boy. Oh, gotta be like, Jesus. What boy? That's everything feeling. You gotta be like, oh, God. And then you follow up with what's coming next. Which leads me to number 9, Conquest. Conquest should have never been 1 episode, needed to at least be about 3. That is how brutal Conquest should have been. You should have used the first episode to have Conquest show up, maybe have him and Mark do a fight, and then have Conquest literally reveal to Mark he's just been testing him for now and he's tired of that. By the second episode, that's when the ass kicking starts. He should have started to brutalize Invincible. When Oliver shows up, beat the shit out of him too. When Atom Eve shows up, beat the shit out of her too. That's what should have happened. And then when you get to the third episode, that's when Mark's rage explodes. Because one of the things about Viltrumites that's different from humans is that Viltrumites don't get a burst of adrenaline. Even when Viltrumites get angry, they don't get stronger. Humans, on the other hand, when they get angry, they do get stronger because that's when they get that boost of adrenaline. So Mark, as a hybrid of humanity and of humans and Viltrumites, when he gets angry, his power does increase for a bit. So when he snaps, that should have been it, because even that improvised thing where you had Conquest telling him about how he's so lonely because he's so brutal and the other Viltrumite, whatever, that was really good. That should have been towards the end of the second season. But when it came to the second episode, when it came to the third episode now, that is when That is when Mark should have snapped and started with him. Like you see how he literally headbutted him to death. That should have come after one of the most brutal beatdowns possible. By the time that was over, you're like, oh God, by the Invincible War, now this, oh, Jesus, Father, that's how you draw people in, man. That's how you do it. And now, number 10, like I say, they kind of dropped the ball with this season. The lack of episodes hindered it badly. The things that should have been focused on, that should have been brought to the forefront, like what happened with exploring more of Rexplode, messed up there. Um, Exploring more of Tech Jacket and some of the other heroes, missed opportunity. Conquest only being one episode, and that should have really been tricked to really sink home how brutal this man was. Because yes, some people are gonna say, well, you know what happened with Omni-Man was only one episode. Yeah, but they built up to that. So you kind of realize this guy was one brutal son of a bitch, getting to the point where he laid that biblical smackdown on Mark. Conquest should have been something like that, but you should have built up to that by using episodes to show how brutal he was. That's what you should have done. That's it. They'd really dropped the ball. I mean, one other character I will say who's sort of been handling things a lot better overall is Debbie. She has actually been handling things a lot better in regards to what's going on. She handled herself in this season a little better in regards to it. But yeah, they kind of dropped the ball with this one, man. They needed some more to really drive it home, and they didn't deliver on that. My final rating for season 3 of Invincible, I will give this it needed more to improve on it to get it over that, and I just don't think it will reach there. I think that, if they start to increase the episodes maybe to 12 or 13, flesh out what needs to be done, it could work. But if you're going to do next season, do it 8 episodes and try to rush through certain things, it's not going to be that way. And I do not take the excuse about how, animation is too expensive when you're spending money on crap, spending hundreds of millions of dollars on crap every year for no profits. You could put some into this and actually make it good, man. You can. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you like, visually hit that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time I put out a new video. And I shall see you all next time. Take care.